Hello, welcome to this webinar where we will be discussing the release of two new drivers for Blue Open Studio. Okay, so we'll give a brief overview and then we'll discuss the Omron Ethernet IP driver and the Keyence KV series driver. Okay, this is a separate drivers only release, right? So this is just two new drivers being released, not a change in the Blue Open Studio software. The drivers are usable in version 2023.1 and newer. And again, here's the two new drivers that we are releasing: the Omron NJ-NX Ethernet IP CIP message communications driver, and then the Keyence 7000, 8000, and X series driver for the Keyence PLCs. These drivers are available to download at proface.com. If you go under the Blue Open Studio connectable devices page, you will see those drivers there. Okay, so you can see here I've called up the Blue Open Studio page from proface.com, and we'll go here to connectable devices. And then this will pull up a list of all the different connectable devices, and you'll see that there's a pretty long list here. And what you'll notice as I scroll down a little bit farther is when we get to these two new drivers. So this new Keyence driver, here's a link to a download, and then as we scroll down farther, you can see here's a link to download the Omron driver. Okay, so now back in the PPT, we'll go on to the next slide. So here's just a brief overview on how to install the driver files. Okay, so make sure Blue Open Studio is not running, and you just basically copy all the driver files to the installation. They're basically zipped up into a zip file. You're going to basically put those in the driver folder of where you've installed Blue Open Studio, basically. So typically, that's going to be C, Program Files, x86, Proface, Blue Open Studio, and then the DRV folder. And here you can see the different files that make up basically the driver, the INI, the .msg, the DLL itself, and then there is also a PDF, which is the driver manual. Okay. So looking at the Omron driver real quick, so this is a Ethernet IP CIP message communication. So this is allowing us to read and write directly to tag names in the Omron PLC. Unfortunately, this does not support tag integration today, so we just need to directly input those tag names in the different driver sheets, and then we don't need any extra license or anything like that from Omron to make this driver work. And here you can see, and I'll show you in a driver sheet what this looks like, but here is the format of what we need to have in the driver sheet for this particular driver. Okay. Looking at this Keyence driver, so this is new Keyence PLCs and expansion of memory areas in the Keyence PLCs. The existing driver today for Keyence is serial communications, and this driver is Ethernet communications. And you can now, again, I'll show you what this looks like in a driver sheet here in a second. And here you can see the tables of the supported devices. Okay, so now if we go into my Blue Open Studio environment here, I just want to show you a couple examples of what these drivers look like in the different driver sheets. So here we'll start with the Keyence driver. So if we look at the main driver sheet, pretty straightforward. Tag name, which is your Blue Open Studio tag name. The station number, very simple, just the IP address of the PLC. If there had to be anything new with the ports, then you would put the different port number, for example. And then here you can see the format of the addresses. So you're basically you're defining what type of data field, what type of data you're addressing the PLC, the different data types. Here you can see I have a timer, and then I just have some data memory. And then these little prefixes in front of the numeric memory location are basically allowing you to format the numeric data coming in. So this, for example, this is an unsigned double word. This is a Boolean. This is just a straight, if you don't put any prefix, it's a signed integer. So here's an unsigned word, double word. Here's a float. Here's a string variable with the string length appended onto it. Okay. So that's what it looks like in the main driver sheet. Now in the individual driver sheets, that of course you're using the header, where the header is defining the start address, and then you're just defining down the way an offset from this start address. So in this case, we're starting here at word 50, right? So we've got DM, so this be DM50 has an unsigned double word. Okay, if we look at then, if we real quick go over here to the Omron driver sheet. You can see here, again, very straightforward. You've got a tag name from Blue Open Studio. Then you have a a station number, which is just simply the IP address. And then over here in the main driver sheet, you can see what I'm doing is you prefix the variable name with the data format. So in this case, this is an integer, here's a bool, and you can see these are just the different data types, and then the variable names are whatever variable you have in the PLC. And you see here what I also did is, and you are also allowed to define a string length here in this driver. Okay, so thank you for watching this video about the two new drivers released for Blue Open Studio. Thanks for watching.